Greetings everyone. Today I'll be going into a little video about the history of Jamaica and the Mosquito Indians who came from Nicaragua and Honduras to Jamaica. So I know this wasn't taught in school or anything, but this is just something that us as Jamaicans need to know, The reason why I really wanted to get more information about the Mosquito Indians and Jamaica was because I found out that I have indigenous America Central in my DNA, and I was like, how is that possible, Because when I did my background, it said that it's located in Nicaragua, and in school when I was learning history, we didn't learn anything about Nicaraguans or Hondurans in playing a role in Jamaican history. So I'll be sharing some information with you guys, and I hope that you'll be educated and informed and you'll understand how the Mosquito Indians were involved in the history of Jamaica and how some of us might have their DNA. Alright? So stay tuned and don't miss it.
Mosquito warriors and fighters. Of the many ethnicities in Jamaica, there's one group few Jamaicans are aware of. It is highly likely there are descendants of Indians from Central America on the island, largely due to the mosquito, corruptly referred to as mosquitoes. The mosquito are mostly from the Mosquito Coast or Mosquito Shores in what is now Nicaragua. They were among the few groups not conquered by the Spanish. Richard Brooks wrote in 1812, "The Mosquito Indians are so situated between morasses and inaccessible mountains and a coast full of rocks and shoals that no attempts by the Spaniards could ever succeed." In relation to the British alliance, the Mosquito forged mutual beneficial alliances with the English, both wanting to thwart the Spanish. Jamaica, the most important British position in the Caribbean, played a central role. David Brooks, writing in the Marine Corps Gazette in 1996, stated, "Unlike other Central American Indian groups, the Mosquito successfully resisted Spanish conquest in the 16th century. Later in the 1600s, they made common cause with British buccaneers who found them useful alliances in raid against the Spanish for their canoeing and maritime skills. This de facto Indian-Spanish alliance would receive official expression in 1687 when British naval officer in Jamaica crowned the Mosquito's most prominent chief, Jeremy I, King of Mosquito. In 1828, the paper related to the slave trade noted the first establishment of the British on the Mosquito shores appears to have taken place at the early period, first by the buccaneers and afterwards men employed in the contraband trade carried on between Jamaica and Spanish Main. Afterwards, the Mosquito Indians asserted that they were never conquered by the Spanish, made under the Duke of Albemarle government of Jamaica a formal cession of their territory to the King of England. The Duke of Albemarle was governor of Jamaica, and the King of the Mosquitoes received a commission from His Grace under the seal that the island, when the king died, the male heir till which he could not be acknowledged as such by his countrymen. The Mosquito ran an active slave trade between the Mosquito shore to Jamaica and elsewhere. Suggested this referred to prisoners of war sold into slavery by the Mosquitoes. Wars, it appears, frequently appears between those Mosquito Indians and between the various neighboring tribes of Indians. And the prisoners made in those wars were frequently sold to the English. And it seems as considerable number of Indians, either from this Mosquito coast or from other quarters, must have been sent to Jamaica for sale in the island. Starting in the 1740s, the British thought Jamaicans established a more permanent foothold in Central America by appointing a superintendent over the Mosquito's coast who reported to the governor of Jamaica. In the 1770s, there were attempts to register the number of Central American Indians in Jamaica by age, sex, ownership, etc. Several pieces of legislation, August and December 1776 and February 1777, were passed by Jamaica authorities, penalizing those who trafficked Indians from Central America. Though enforcement of these laws were difficult, it appears there was successful curbing the trafficking of Indians into slavery. In May 1777, the superintendent of the Mosquito shores wrote to Jamaica. The infamous practice of selling Indians of the neighboring nations as slaves is now entirely at an end, but there still remains a number of slaves among Mosquito men who were in their possession previous to the late regulations. In 1787, the British evacuated the Mosquito shore, Nicaragua, after surrendering it by treaty to the Spanish the previous year. While Indians enslaved by the British were freed, it appears some were still held illegally under bondage. This was the subject of an 1821 investigation and subsequent adjudications by Jamaican's Attorney General. The Maroon War. Richard Brooks said the Mosquito men being excellent marksmen, the English employed them in striking the Mariti, etc., and many of the Mosquito Indians came to Jamaica and sailed with the English in their voyage. With their marksmanship, experience in fighting wars in difficult terrains, and tracking skills, Mosquito fighters assisted in the ongoing Maroon War in Jamaica. The bulk of the Maroons were descendants of formerly enslaved Africans who escaped into the Jamaican hills when the British took the island by force from Spain in 1655. They were regularly joined by Africans who escaped enslavement under the British. And as you can see there's a picture showing where the Maroons were in New Nannytown in Jamaica in 1908 to 1909. The original Nannytown was tackled by British and Mosquito forces in 1734, and this photo was taken by Harry Johnston, courtesy of Royal Geographical Society. The Mosquito were first utilized in tracking enslaved Africans who had escaped British bondage. The World Director of Minorities and Indigenous Peoples noted that in 1720 the British signed a treaty with the King of the Mosquito Coast of Nicaragua to provide 50 able-bodied men to assist Jamaica plantation owners in their struggle against runaway slaves. As the Maroon maidens continued, colonial Jamaica grew more desperate. Mosquito Indians helped the British reach Nannytown, Portland in 1734, sacking and leveling the settlement high up in the Blue Mountain Range. According to a December 17, 1865 article in the New York Times, 200 Mosquito Indians were recruited in a final desperate attempt to defeat the Maroons in other parts of the island. Resort was then had to the Mosquito Indians, who, it was thought, would be more than a match for the Maroons in bushfighting. 200 of those people were accordingly imported into Jamaica and employed against the dreaded enemy. But the Maroons battled the Indians and continued to bid defiance to the colonists, who, in their extremity, were compelled to advise Governor Trelawney in 1738 to propose overthrows of peace of the chiefs. These overthrows were accepted. Articles of pacification were signed, and certain land in the island, amounting in the whole to several thousand acres, were assigned to the Maroons in perpetuity. The Jamaican War against the Maroons was not only long, it proved expensive, costing at least for £240,000 or more than £4 million in today's money, the equivalent nearly $20 million US. The Mosquito received compensation for their failed efforts against the Maroons. Thomas Southey, in the 1827 edition of Volume 2 of Chronological History of West Indies, said the Mosquito Indians were well rewarded for their conduct and sent back to their country. Other sources, however, suggested that some Mosquito remained in Jamaica and settled in the southern parts of St. Elizabeth. It is likely there are people in the region or in that region of the country, as well as those descended from other Central American Indians sold into slavery in Jamaica by the Mosquitos, who are unaware of that part of their heritage.
The fearless and charismatic queen of the windward Maroons in Jamaica rose to power in the 18th century, leading a band of courageous freedom fighters in guerrilla war over many years in their relentless struggle against the British oppressors. Nanny's leadership was truly remarkable, as she commanded a ferocious force of many men who struck terror into the hearts of the British colonial forces and rescued over 1,000 slaves. Her hideout in the rugged Jamaican Blue Mountains became a symbol of resistance against slavery and tyranny, and was later named Nanny Town in her honor. Her unwavering determination, along with other Maroon leaders such as Cuddle, Accompong, Cuffy, and Quaco, eventually led to a historic compromise with the British in 1739. The treaty signed under British Governor Edward Trelawney granted Cudjoe's Maroons 1,500 acres of land between their strongholds of Trelawney Town and Accompong in the Cockpit Country, and a certain amount of political autonomy and economic freedoms. Nanny's audacious leadership and tactical brilliance made her a legendary figure in the fight against slavery and oppression. Nanny's story is a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience that define the Jamaican spirit.
Thank you guys for watching. I hope you were informed. Please remember to hit the subscription button so that you'll be post notified whenever I release the video, and also put a comment in the comment box and let me know what you think. Alright? Thank you guys for watching, and do have yourself a lovely rest of the day. Bye bye.